Ron Poulenc to drink doses of the extremely toxic insecticide in the 1992 study. And in the year 2000, in my own home state of California, Lockheed Martin paid 100 people in California $1,000 to eat a dose of perchlorate every day for 6 months. Perchlorate damages thyroid function and can cause mental and physical developmental problems in fetuses and children at low levels and is linked to thyroid cancer. Well, it seems to me when the industry wants something, they get it from this administration. And this is yet another classic case in point. Now, in February of this year, EPA announced the proposal to develop a comprehensive plan for human testing of pesticides. Under this proposal, pesticide companies would be able to pay people to ingest pesticides. Not only is this proposal scientifically flawed, but it ignores the recommendations of the National Academy of Sciences, and more important, it is morally reprehensible. We as a nation and a world oppose testing toxics on people. Intentionally exposing humans with pesticides offers no health benefits to the human subject, nor is it intended to improve human health. Further, the Nuremberg Code, which we adopted post-World War II, and you all remember at least reading about the Nazi experimentation on human beings, generally prohibits non-therapeutic testing. Often, human testing of pesticides violates the Helsinki Declaration of the World Medical Association. So that is why I, along with many of my colleagues, religious, medical, ethical, scientific, and public health organizations, oppose human testing of pesticides. And this is my own belief. If EPA can get away with testing babies, infants, then they can get away with anything when it comes to human testing of toxics. And that's why I think this proposal is alive, even though it's outrageous. And you'll hear from Senator Nelson how people have responded in his state to it. And I know we are a good team. We've teamed up before on the arsenic rule. And Senator Nelson took the lead on the treatment of wood and playgrounds with arsenic that he knew was going to harm kids. And this, when I went to him with this, we looked at each other and we said, okay, we're keeping this team together. And we stopped them on arsenic. I'm going to stop this program. And it is a privilege to turn to my colleague, Senator Bill Nelson. Yeah.
Thank you very much. The executive branch appointment process is a two-step process. The President nominates and the Senate confirms. And exercising my right in this confirmation process, I am placing a hold on the nomination of Mr. Johnson's confirmation because I'm going to stand up for the health and safety of children in my state. You've heard the facts here presented by Barbara. We need to be protecting children, not exposing them to pesticides. And isn't it interesting, in Duval County, this is Jacksonville, that this neighborhood is a low-income minority neighborhood that would be subject to needing $970 and a camcorder over a 2-year period, only if they complete the 2-year study. And the 2-year study includes, am I eligible to participate? One of the eligibility items is spray or have pesticides sprayed inside your home routinely. Now, listen to what the EPA says in their own documentation off of their website. Pesticides, and I quote, pesticides may harm a developing child by blocking the absorption of important food nutrients necessary for normal healthy growth. Another way pesticides may cause harm is if a child's excretory system is not fully developed. The body may not fully remove pesticides. Continuing. Also, there are critical periods in human development where exposure to a toxin can permanently alter the way an individual's biological system operates. That's enough for me. And when Barbara told me, she alerted me to this, and she alerted me that in the hearing that she had pressed Mr. Johnson, will you cancel the program? And he sidestepped it to begin with, and when she pressed and pressed, she finally said, I want you to answer, will you cancel the program? And he said no. Therefore, I am placing a hold on his nomination, and I will use every parliamentary procedure that is available to me under the rules of the Senate to protect the children of my state until he, as the future head of the EPA, will signal that he will cancel the program.
Thank you so much, Bill. It's so well said. Anybody have questions on this? Yes, sir.
I have a couple. First of all, is there any indication that they ask these parents to do anything other than the way pesticides would normally be used?
Yes.
And can you explain sort of what those are?
Spray or have pesticides sprayed inside your home routinely. So if they see that this is a chance to get $970 and they've never sprayed, they sign up and say, I'm very willing to have my home sprayed. It's fine.
And what sort of, do they offer any sort of documentation other than just this video camera? I mean, were parents supposed to fill out forms or?
They'll be visited every few months by an EPA person, and they are supposed to be taking pictures of their children. But Bettina Poirier from my staff can explain more.
Yeah, my understanding is they also were going to medically test the children and including potentially urine studies, other studies.
They have to wear a
to
sensor.
see how much pesticide is accumulated in them.
Okay, it also says here, where does it say they have to wear a sensor? I don't see that. Natalie, excuse me. Let me get this one. Oh, here it is. Okay, here's what it says. Allow 2 of our researchers to visit you at your home every 3 to 6 months for 2 years. And arrange a time at your convenience to conduct study activities before and after the use of pesticides. The visit will take 2 hours per day or per visit. Videotape some of your child's activities and keep an activity diary about your child. Allow your child to wear a small watch-size activity sensor during the study period, approximately 1 week every 3 to 6 months. Help to collect some samples of food and urine. Our research staff will show you how to do this and provide you with needed supplies. Look, this is sick. It's a sick, sick thing. I asked Mr. Johnson a question he didn't answer, which was, it actually was a rhetorical question. He said he just had 2 new grandkids. I said, do you have your grandkids signed up for this study? You know.
And you mentioned, sir, it was targeting a specific neighborhood. Do they advertise in this neighborhood, or what? How does that work?
We'll have to find out the specifics from the Duval County Health Department, which was conducted. But I can tell you in the newspaper account in the Jacksonville paper this morning, the Florida Times-Union, the health department official who was contacted by the newspaper last night said he did not realize that this was funded in part by the lobbying organization for the pesticide companies. But your question is, what specific neighborhoods? We can find that out. These brochures, this is a facsimile of a brochure right here, and these brochures have been handed out. Who has handed those out and the specific locations I can't tell you right here, this moment, but that's easily obtainable information.
Now, we understand that 30 participants have already signed up, but we got that information from the NRDC, and they may have more details on who they are. Yeah.
I mean, if it's already suspended, I mean, have these 30 participants actually participated? And, I mean, do you know kind of how far this has actually gone?
We really don't know. We know that this was suspended, and they've convened a panel to look at it because there was a huge outcry at the time in Florida. There were actually a couple of newspapers that said the EPA should be fumigated for this idea. They should put a tent over it, fumigated them. So they had some heat. So what they did is they didn't cancel it. They convened another panel, and that's why Mr. Johnson insists he is not canceling it. He is waiting to get that panel to come back. But again, this is the tip of the iceberg. Remember, the bigger issue here is human testing. And this is one piece of the puzzle that we caught them on. And the bigger question is, how broadly are they going to move forward with human testing? Yes.
Supposing that Johnson caves and actually cancels the program, will you then lift the hold, or are there other things in his record that you're also concerned about?
That's a good question. At this stage, I have laid down my marker, which is he needs to cancel this program before I lift a hold. If the program is canceled, then, in my opinion, I would lift my hold. It doesn't mean I'll support him. I have, there's lots of other issues, lots of others. The court gave him a chance to make the case against human testing. They're choosing not to do that. Clearly, if you read their rules, they're looking at how to do human testing. And right now, my understanding, and my staff can correct me, they are, in fact, on a case-by-case basis, considering the use of studies of human testing, which is a reversal of the Clinton administration. But let me just be very clear. I have put a hold on it. If he cancels this program, if it is gone, never to rear its ugly, immoral head again, I'll lift the hold. Other than that, I will not. And it will be a big struggle to get him confirmed. Yeah.
Ma'am, based on our past experience, I don't really expect much help from the EPA on this. Maybe you know the answer to this question. What was the point of this study? Has your staff been able to
Well,
figure
this
that out?
is what I would assume is the pesticide companies want to be able to say there's no harm. These kids crawled around in pesticides for 2 years, and outside of one of them got a rash on their wrist. We all know that these problems occur later in life. They don't occur at the very moment or the very year. You're apt to see these things when the kid is 10, the kid is 15, 20, 30. These are effects that compound inside the body until they cause cancer or other debilitating diseases. So my opinion is they're going to have these kids crawling around in pesticides for 2 years and say there were minor complaints. One developed a little cough, one, but they were fine, and they developed fine. And that's what I think this is about. They want to make the case that pesticides are safe. You already know. Bill read what we already know, that in fact they are not safe. Let me just give you one example of what this is about. Supposing one of you women out there is a smoker, which I hope you're not, but let's say you are. And we already know that smoking kills people. It's the leading cause. And a researcher came up to you and said, and let's say you were really poor, unemployed, struggling, whatever, and said, we know that smoking's bad, but we also want to see how much worse it is for women, so we want to follow you for 2 years. And all we're asking you to do is just keep on smoking the same amount that you're smoking. Not asking you to do any more, not any less. And we're going to audio tape your cough in the morning. We're going to come in and examine you, and so on, and so on, and so on. And we'll give you $2,000 or $1,000 and a free trip to Hawaii or something. That's immoral. Because we should be telling you, as the EPA, in charge of public health, we should be saying to you, look, we already know enough. Please don't smoke. We already know. I think that Bill's contribution to this today was enormous, Because what he did is tell you what the EPA itself knows and says about the effects of pesticides on children. It's immoral. You want to do something good for Duval County? You want to help the children of Duval County? Put this out and say, call us, and we will give you the names of the least toxic pesticides there are. And we will tell you other ways that you could handle pest problems other than spraying in your home. That's where we ought to be now. As a matter of fact, I wrote an amendment a long time ago that actually passed that said that schools needed to use the least toxic pesticides. I mean, we already know this isn't, any new ground that we have to plow here. These things are just toxic to these kids.
In 2001, Stephen Johnson is quoted as saying, and he was a member of the staff of the EPA, "We believe that we have a more than sufficient database through use of animal studies to make licensing decisions that meet the standard to protect the health of the public without using human studies." He is quoted in the Los Angeles Times, December 15, 2001. And everything that I had heard of this individual, that he was a good appointment, that he was well respected in the agency. And that's why I was so surprised, number one, that the study was being done in my state, and number two, that when pressed, that he refused to cancel this study when Barbara pressed him.
Yes.
Do you know any details about, did they tell families what kind of pesticides to use, or how did they determine how often pesticides were being sprayed?
I don't know the details, but basically it says use pesticides or allow us to come in and spray. They were supposed to be looking at, quote, normal pesticide use. But it seems to me, as someone who has a can of Raid and in a rare occasion has to use it, I hate using it, but we all sometimes get, oh my God, what else are we going to do? It's pretty rare that we ever spray that stuff. So it just seems to me that, just reading between the lines here, coming every 3 months, this gives you the sense that there's going to be a lot of spraying going on if they're coming every few months. And it's just, so I don't know the details, and that's the thing that I'm hoping that Senator Nelson can find out more when you are able to contact some of these 30 families. What did they tell you? Did they give you sprayed? We really don't know a lot of it. All we know is that the families have to be willing to continue spraying if they are, or allow their homes to be sprayed. And so, again, I think we know enough right from this flyer here, to know that this is an outrageous, immoral project. Yeah.
So, Senator Nelson, are you going to be asking the EPA for a list of the families who have participated so far and their details? All right, and have you done that already?
No, I just found out about this late yesterday.
But you guys will send a letter or something, I suppose. Is that? I'm just curious the normal routine for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, why does it always happen in Florida?
Why does what? Thank you very much.
Senator Nelson,
Yeah,
before you go, Senator Nelson, I wondered what your thoughts were on now finding out who wrote the Shivo memo, which obviously had your name on it and had a target on you.
It is my understanding that Senator Frank Lautenberg has requested an investigation to get to the bottom of this matter. I support that investigation and will refrain from any comment until that investigation is complete. I have read in this morning's papers that Senator Martinez has apologized to me, and I accept his apology.
Did he call you?
No, he called my chief of staff.
Had you spoken with him directly about the memo beforehand?
Yes, I have.
And what had he told you?
Same that has been reported.
Does it disappoint you that the
not-
staff of...
I'm not going to characterize it any more than to say I will await the results of the investigation. Mel Martinez has been a personal friend of mine for 27 years, and I accept his apology.
Senator Boxer, do you have any thoughts on the memo?
I just don't know enough about it at this time. But I could just say, playing politics with this is unacceptable, with that suffering woman. Playing politics with a woman suffering like that is despicable. That's all. But I don't know the details. Yeah.
Have you gotten any more communication from Mr. Johnson, this
Yes.
morning, last night?
Oh, we did. Well, we got a letter. We'll show you. We got it in the afternoon when we came back. And this afternoon, I went up on the website. I listened to the message, and you're right. I thought we had suspended the program, but gee, they were saying we'll call you back, and he said I've changed the website, I've changed the phone, and it is suspended. I said, is it canceled? Well, I've suspended it. Has it been canceled? No. So it was nowhere. In other words, in the morning he said it was suspended. I said it was canceled. No. In the afternoon it was suspended. Was it canceled? No. So there was no change at all, except for the fact that he went up on the website and he changed. I guess he pulled down I don't know. Did they pull it down? Changed it. They altered it, and they altered the phone message, I gather. Well, thank you very much.
Quick question on procedure.
sure.
I'm sorry. How long can you hold the nomination?
Well,
Can you hold it indefinitely? What do you
sure.
have to do?
I'll have Bill answer that.
Under the rules of the Senate, a hold is honored until such a hold would be broken by a motion to proceed. And in order for that, under the Senate rules, to succeed, there has to be 60 votes to break the filibuster. As a practical matter, a hold is either honored or it is worked out by the leadership. Rarely do you see a hold go all the way to try to break the hold by breaking the filibuster with 60 votes. So I think that this is something that the leadership on both sides of the aisle will honor, as they always have, a senator's rights. And this is why I think the EPA ought to get the message.
Now, I would just say to play it out. If it did go forward, if they decided to go forward and they were intransigent and they didn't cancel the program, and we've said right now they have to do that. There are others that care about this, by the way. I could tell you, others on the Environment Committee who were stunned at the presentation and who've come up to me and said, you're right, this is outrageous. So let's just say there's 4 or 5 or 6 of us, or 10 of us, or 3 of us, or 2 of us. If they went to try to do to get the 60 votes. First of all, I think this is so shocking that I don't think they get the 60 votes. That's my opinion. This is so shocking. I think you have a vote on this. There's no reason at all in the world for them not to cancel this. So I think in the end we get that. But even if I was wrong on that point, it would take them weeks, a week or 2 to get this done.
Senator Nelson,
To get Johnson done.
Let me just mention, if you all want some choice words, you ought to call Congresswoman Corrine Brown, in whose district this study is being done. And it is a district that has a lot of the poor and minority neighborhoods in the city of Jacksonville. Yes, sir.
do you still have a similar hold on an Interior Department official over the offshore oil drilling moratorium in Florida?
Yes, sir, I do.
What's the status of that?
I had informed Secretary Norton 2 months ago that I was placing the hold on the nomination of the number 2 person for exactly the reason that she had promised to me when I lifted my hold 4 years ago on Mr. Grimes, or Griles, that there would be no drilling, attempt to drill, attempt to lease drilling rights in the eastern Gulf of Mexico region off of the state of Florida. That has been altered. And so I wrote her 2 months ago and asked her, first of all, I thanked her again for having given me that assurance 4 years ago and having been very accommodating as she was. And then I wondered why it was that they were changing their policy. And in 2 months, she has not responded. And as a matter of fact, your question is very timely, because I just spoke to our Deputy Chief of Staff and asked him to initiate a call to Secretary Norton this morning for me to either talk to her on the telephone or to see her in person and to find out why she hasn't responded to my request. And I will continue that hold until I get an answer which a senator is entitled to. I can tell you, talk about an inflammatory issue, not only this one, but the inflammatory issue of drilling off the coast of Florida. That's another highly touchy subject.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sonny Nelson.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. Great work.
Shoot.
You too. Cheers, and let's stop this.